Summary of the novel Three-Body Problem. The story is triggered by two individuals, a human being from planet Earth and another extraterrestrial life form. This extraterrestrial life form comes from a civilization called Trisolaris, and these two lives, through a single act, change the course of their own civilization. Let's begin with the basic situation of the Trisolarans. The Trisolarans live 4.3 light-years away from Earth, in the Alpha Centauri star system, and they are very close neighbors to humans. The galaxy they live in has 3 stars, suns, and they inhabit the planet Trisolaris. However, this planet is influenced by the gravitational force of the 3 suns. Most of the time, it will be either attracted or repelled by them, making the planet extremely cold at times due to its distance from the suns, and extremely hot at other times due to its proximity to one of the suns. When it's cold, most life on the planet will freeze to death, and when it's hot, most life will die from the heat. Only in the appropriate distance between the 3 suns can the Trisolaran civilization thrive. There is also an extreme possibility that this planet could be torn apart by the gravitational force of the 3 suns, ultimately ending life on the planet. The problem the Trisolarans face is a very classical three-body problem in mathematics, which, until now, has remained unsolvable, hence the name of the novel. Due to the three-body problem, the Trisolarans have no way of accurately predicting the future. Humans are accustomed to the sun rising the next morning, but the Trisolarans are not so fortunate. No Trisolaran knows whether the sun will rise close or far away the following day. The Trisolarans have always lived in this uncertainty, and in this environment, they have developed the ability to dehydrate and hibernate in hostile conditions. The Trisolarans develop technology recklessly, aiming to find a reliable planet where they can live stably. Therefore, the Trisolarans have invested a significant amount of human resources and natural resources into monitoring signals in the universe every day, not wanting to miss any trace of possible extraterrestrial life. The novel unfolds following the steps of the protagonist Wang Miao, who uncovers the existence of the Trisolaran civilization. In 2007, planet Earth appears completely normal and peaceful. However, a series of mysterious suicides has occurred within the scientific community. Many scientists from renowned international academic organizations have consecutively committed suicide. Invited by the military organization, scientist Wang Miao, who has been in contact with this organization, and Shi Chang, a veteran and disheveled-looking policeman, take on the mission of uncovering the truth. They begin their investigation with Yang Dong, a physicist who committed suicide. Yang Dong's fiancée, Ding Yi, also a distinguished and recognized scientist, shows them Yang Dong's suicide note, which is short and unsigned, and reads as follows. Science has never existed and will not exist in the future. I know it's irresponsible of me to say this, but I have no other choice. Through Ding Yi, Wang Miao and Shi Chang learn that Yang Dong's suicide may have been caused by despair over the failure of the particle collision experiment. The day after discovering the cause of Yang Dong's death, a mysterious countdown appeared suddenly before Wang Miao's eyes, refusing to disappear, which made Wang Miao feel miserable. This is the second clue they face, the countdown of the ghost. To get rid of this countdown, Wang Miao asks for help from his friend Xing Yufei, a member of the Scientific Frontier Organization. After that, Wang Miao suspends the nanotechnology project he was in charge of. At the same time, the countdown miraculously disappears from his eyes. Wang Miao discovers cosmic radiation through radio telescopes. With the countdown in the background, he believes there must be some kind of mysterious power that limits human science. When he visited Xing Yufei, Wang Miao also noticed that she was addicted to a game, the three-body game, an important tool in this book to reveal the Trisolaran civilization. For the investigation, Wang Miao uses a virtual reality suit that can provide real bodily sensations and enters the world of the three-body game for the first time. He understands that the game is about solving the problem of this world, a world that has been destroyed by natural disasters many times, and where the inhabitants are called Trisolarans. He experiences this hellish world, and what surprises him the most is the ability of the Trisolarans to dehydrate in the harsh climate of extreme cold and scorching summers. They transform into a piece of human skin through dehydration to avoid extinction. After many civilizations were destroyed, with the 137th being destroyed by intense cold, Wang Miao withdraws from the three-body game. Amazed by the game, he begins to sweat profusely and then visits the mother of the deceased scientist Yang Dong. This is the first real protagonist, Yu Wenjie. Wang Miao also encounters Yu Wenjie's student, Xia Ruishan. In his narration, the image of Yu Wenjie's life slowly unfolds. In 1967, during the Cultural Revolution, Yu Wenjie witnessed her father, who insisted on scientific truth, being beaten to death by 4 students armed with belts. At that moment, endless pain ran through her veins. 2 years later, Yu Wenjie joined the Production and Construction Corps. Here, in the mountains, over 100,000 people dedicated their youthful passions, with no place to rest, to destroying the natural environment. She witnessed the madness of these people with her own eyes. Later, she met a progressive reporter, and they became good friends. This reporter wanted to send a letter to the central government, reflecting that the construction corps was not building but destroying the environment. After reading the letter, CIENCIA praised it, but the reporter had been doing hard work for a long time, causing his hands to tremble too much, making it difficult to write well. So CIENCIA copied a letter for him. Subsequently, superiors traced it back and thought it was a reactionary act. The reporter then betrayed CIENCIA, claiming that she wrote the letter and he didn't know its contents. This time, all the responsibility fell on CIENCIA. She was imprisoned in a detention center, where she refused to sign a confession, and the persecution intensified. All this ugliness caused the anti-human seeds in her heart to grow into towering trees, and she became completely disillusioned with humans. Later, Yang Weining, a student of CIENCIA's father, learned of this and rescued CIENCIA by allowing her to participate in the Red Coast Project at the Red Coast base. The main objective of the Red Coast Project is to find extraterrestrial life to achieve a technological leap. The talent required for this plan is extremely demanding, but CIENCIA's conditions are right, as she inherited her father's genius and is highly intelligent in science. However, the price of joining is to stay at the base forever and be isolated from the world. Despite feeling disheartened, CIENCIA agreed without hesitation. Sha Rushan's memories come to an end. It is only then that Wang Miao knows that CIENCIA, who had lost her father, was wronged and betrayed, joined the Red Coast Project, and spent 20 years at the Red Coast base. In the early 1990s, she returned to teach astrophysics at the university where her father taught until her retirement. Now this elderly woman has lost her daughter Yang Dong, which is truly lamentable. This also heightened Wang Miao's motivation to explore the mystery of the suicides. At this moment, Shi Chang brought new news that there seemed to be hidden clues in the three-body game, so Wang Miao embarked on a series of three-body game tours. Wang Miao entered the game for the second time, where he met Mosey for the first time and saw the model of the universe he created. Mosey imagined the universe as a double-layered sphere surrounded by a sea of fire, explaining it through the rotation of the inner layer, alternating thermal expansion and contraction for day and night, and the changing size of the sun. Mosey had great confidence in the model, but this confidence was reduced to ashes with the departure of a giant sun. Upon loading the game for the third time, Wang Miao encountered a group of human sages and revealed the root cause of the disaster, the three suns. The galaxy where the Trisolaran civilization resides has three suns. They are distant and close at times, and their movements are irregular, creating a hellish world known as the three-body problem. During the fourth game, Wang Miao encountered Newton, von Neumann, and Qin Shi Huang. They used 30 million soldiers with white and black flags to simulate binary arithmetic of 0 and 1, forming a spectacular human computer, attempting to predict the movement of the three suns. However, this attempt failed once again due to the three suns link in the sky. In the fifth game, the Supreme Master Albert Einstein experimented with the failed results of various algorithms. The laws of motion for the three suns have no solution, and the only way out for the Trisolaran civilization is to flee to the universe and find a new home. This game attempts to restore the process of the Trisolaran civilization as much as possible, and Wang Miao's journey into the three-body problem game has come to an end for the time being. During this period, a real-world murder occurred. Xin Yufei, who had helped Wang Miao eliminate the ghostly countdown, was shot and killed. The prime suspect was a person named Pan Han. Suspicious of the murder case, Wang Miao received an invitation to attend an offline meeting of the game. Unexpectedly, the organizer of the meeting was Pan Han, the suspect who killed Xin Yufei. During the meeting, he asked the players if they supported the arrival of the Trisolaran civilization to replace humans in managing the Earth. 2 people opposed, and their game identities were permanently cancelled. Wang Miao pretended to accept becoming a new member of the three-body organization to fulfill his undercover mission. Wang Miao logged into the game for the last time and witnessed the Trisolaran space fleet setting sail for an expedition to the New World. The game has now ended. In the game interface, the player is once again invited to a meeting organized by the Earth Trisolaris Organization, abbreviated as ETO. In this meeting, Wang Miao was surprised to discover that the spiritual leader of the ETO was none other than CIENCIA. What was even more surprising was that CIENCIA ordered her subordinates to publicly execute Pan Han, after which she calmly continued recounting her story at the Red Coast base. Past events at the Red Coast base. During her work, after reading scientific articles and performing calculations, the intelligent CIENCIA came up with the idea of using the sun as an amplifier to strengthen the signal generated by an antenna and sent the first message from Earth into space. It contained the basic information about Earth's civilization, and this signal is what the Trisolarans have been searching for in their dreams. The person who received CIENCIA's signal was a Trisolaran named number 1379. The Trisolaran civilization is highly centralized, an extreme autocracy, with little respect for individuals. How disrespectful is it? Those who cannot work must die. In this planetary environment, Only the centralization of power can rapidly develop the Trisolaran civilization. Number 1379 has lived most of his life alone. The station where he receives the signals has existed for thousands of years. He is the only one there. Number 1379 sits in a small space every day, listening to cosmic signals, which is a boring and repetitive job. In the world of Trisolarans, this is a humble occupation, at the bottom of society, where nobody pays attention to him. What's even more tragic is that he has never heard anything in his life. He waited almost his entire life. Trisolaran number 1379 received a signal from CIENCIA. He was very excited when he saw the message. He understood CIENCIA's message through the decryption system. He discovered that this distant planet is the dream paradise, the ideal home for all Trisolarans. He didn't want to report this news to his superiors. He knew it meant that Earth would be invaded, and even if the Trisolarans managed to occupy Earth, he didn't care. And once he completed this task, he would most likely lose his value in society. In other words, the success of number 1379 wouldn't change his lonely and humble life. So he replied to CIENCIA with a message in the language of Earth. Do not answer! Do not answer! Do not answer, I am a pacifist. I don't know who you are. There are countless planets in the direction of your signal source, and your position cannot be determined. But if you respond, we will definitely find you, and we will definitely invade Earth. This information was equivalent to giving up the opportunity that the Trisolarans had been waiting for thousands of years. As soon as this message was sent, number 1379 was captured. Since number 1379 was already very old, he was granted his freedom, wanting him to live until the day all hope was lost for Earth and its dreams were shattered. At the same time, the higher-ups ordered the execution of the remaining 6,000 Trisolarans related to this matter. 8 years after the events on Earth, CIENCIA, who had started a family with Yan Weining, accidentally received a response from outer space, repeating a simple message. Do not answer. Do not answer. Do not answer. Upon receiving the extraterrestrial response, CIENCIA was greatly surprised. Her heart was racing, and she could no longer think calmly. She couldn't control herself. At that time, the human world was not peaceful. There were poverty, famine, wars, pollution issues, and the development of atomic weapons. CIENCIA believed that humanity had no hope, so she wanted to use external power, the strength of that mysterious civilization, to help humans. She responded, Come and help us. I will help you take over the Earth. As CIENCIA recounted her past, Shi Chang suddenly led a team to the location and captured the members of the ETO organization, including CIENCIA. During the interrogation, CIENCIA provided more information. The first was about a murder. Back then, CIENCIA's superior, political commissar Lei Jiqing, discovered evidence of CIENCIA's communications with extraterrestrials. To cover up this fact, when political commissar Lei Jiqing and her husband descended the cliff to inspect the equipment, CIENCIA ruthlessly cut the rope, causing them to fall off the cliff and die. The cliff incident was treated as a regular accident, and CIENCIA gave birth to Yang Dong as a widow. She was later rehabilitated and returned to teach at the university from which she graduated. Due to her involvement in a site selection project for a launch base, she met Mike Evans, the true leader of the future ETO organization, in the remote Northwest region. This wealthy second-generation individual had spent 3 years planting trees in the barren mountains to protect endangered birds. He inherited a multinational oil company with assets of $45 billion from his father, yet he couldn't prevent humans from destroying the natural environment. He was also eager for an alien civilization to save the Earth. One had the funds, and the other had the technology. The two hit it off and became the founders of the ETO. 3 years later, CIENCIA was invited to come aboard the giant ship, Judgment Day, in the Atlantic Ocean. Based on the cosmic guidance provided by CIENCIA at that time, Mike Evans built the second Red Coast base here and successfully communicated with the Trisolaran civilization. It turned out that CIENCIA's message had traveled for 4 years and reached Trisolaris. The Trisolarans felt that happiness had come too suddenly, and moreover, Earth was so close. So the Trisolarans used all their resources to build spaceships. Trisolarian number 1379 and CIENCIA, two unknown individuals, nearly caused the Trisolarans to lose their chance of survival, while the other brought a nightmare to all of humanity. In earlier times, it was impossible for an ordinary person without power to influence an entire civilization. But now, these two individuals with a simple communication have changed the civilizations of their respective planets twice. This is a warning for us to understand that communicating with extraterrestrials is dangerous. Hawking also expressed a similar viewpoint. The first batch of ETO members granted CIENCIA the qualifications of Supreme Commander and chanted the slogan, "Eliminate human tyranny, the world belongs to the Trisolaran civilization." The three-body game was designed by ETO to recruit members and spread Trisolaran culture. So far, the mystery of ETO has been completely unveiled. The members are divided into 3 categories: Adventists, those who want to use extraterrestrial power to destroy humans. Salvationists, they hope to keep the Trisolarans alive by solving the physical problem of the three-body problem, thus preventing their invasion of the solar system. Survivors, those who try to survive by betraying Earth. Among them, leader Mike Evans is part of the Adventists. As ETO developed, it became divided into factions. Since Mike Evans is the leader of the Judgment Day ship, he has controlled and concealed information about the communication between the Trisolaran civilization and ETO to achieve his own goals. Xing Yufei is part of the Salvationists. However, this is contrary to the Adventist ideal of destroying humanity. It was for this reason that Xing Yufei was killed by Adventist Pan Han. All of this is inconsistent with Yu Wenjie's ideal of using an extraterrestrial civilization to transform humans. Yu Wenjie also mentioned that a large amount of communication content from the Trisolaran civilization was preserved in the giant ship. Day of Judgment. The international coalition considered how to deal with these traitors. Killing them is secondary. The most important thing is to obtain the communication data with the Trisolarans. This data can provide crucial information about the vital points of the Trisolarans. Firstly, it is not reliable to board the ship and capture them. These individuals are all outlaws who could die with the data at any moment, making it impossible to carry out military attacks on this ship. Fortunately, through Yu Wenjie's words, they learned of a unique opportunity. The ship would someday pass through the Panama Canal, and the narrowest part of the canal is only 150 meters wide. Shi Chang came up with a way to use nanotechnology, similar to what Wang Miao studies, to install two tall poles on either side of the river and stretch super strong filaments between the poles. These invisible filaments, only 1/10 the thickness of a human hair and placed every 50 centimeters, are extremely sharp. If the ship crosses the wall made of nanofibers, the ship and the people on board will be sliced like tofu, and no one on board will have time to destroy the data. Of course, the hard drive used to store the data will also be cut, but it will be cut very flat and can be restored. The leaders of the international coalition established this project, calling it Gujing. When the giant ship passed, it was cut into more than 40 pieces, and at the same time, Mike Evans was cut into 3 sections. The Gujing project achieved a great victory. The coalition forces finally obtained 28 gigabytes of data and decrypted shocking information. The Trisolaran fleet that sets sail for Earth reaches up to 10% of the speed of light. Considering the time it takes to gather propulsion materials in the universe, the fleet will arrive in 400 years. Additionally, the Trisolarans sent something called a Sabhan to restrict Earth's basic science. The Sabhan is a super tiny robot, very small, capable of accelerating to almost the speed of light, and it takes just over 4 years to reach Earth from the planet Trisolaris. The Trisolarans' research on the microscopic world far surpasses that of humans. Trisolaris scientists first expanded the proton into a composite particle in 2 dimensions, then built an integrated circuit on the large expanded 2-dimensional surface of the proton, and then reduced it to the size of an ordinary proton, thus creating this microscopic particle. It becomes a super-intelligent computer. Due to the disruption caused by the Saphans, theoretical physics has lost the possibility of continuing research, which is why many prominent scientists from renowned international organizations have committed suicide. It can be seen how the Trisolarans forced human scientists to be what they are. Wang Miao and some scientists counting down in front of their eyes is a trick that the Sabhan has played on the human retina. The Sabhan is also a super monitor that uses its high-speed movement capability to spy on everyone and interfere with the optic nerves of individual scientists. The Trisolarans are watching the live transmission of every word and everything every human being says and does. The success of the Gujing project is actually due to the fact that the Trisolarans did not stop it, as the Trisolarans had already severed contact with the ETO organization long before. Due to the transparent nature of the Trisolarian thoughts, they communicate directly through their minds and do not lie. However, they become very fearful when they learn that humans have the ability to deceive. Mike Evans knows too many secrets, and he may even know the truth of the universe. This idea is better understood in the sequel to the novel, The Three-Body Problem 2, The Dark Forest. The Trisolarian found in the Bible mentions a creature called the serpent. They asked a member of the ETO, if a serpent crawls before you at this moment and tells you that it comes to serve you, wouldn't you fear and abhor the serpent? After the information was declassified, an urgent international conference was held to discuss how to confront the crisis. At that moment, the Trisolarian displayed the same words to everyone at the international conference through Sabhan. You are insects. The entire human world fell into despair. Wang Miao and Yan Gong's fiancé, the scientist Ding Yi, started drinking heavily to escape from reality. It was then that Shi Chang found them and took them to a wheat field. There, they looked at the wheat field and saw locusts devouring the wheat in the sky. The two seemed to understand Shi Chang's intentions, that the Trisolarian, who considered humans as insects, seemed to have forgotten that insects have never truly been defeated. the memory of Earth's past. The three-body problem.